Scuba Steve. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we talk US Moto and anywhere the conversation goes. With us today from Factory Triumph, we've got the team manager, Steve Westfall. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm very good, man. Yeah, always good when I get to talk a bit of moto. So,
Yeah,
always good. Dude,
awesome. Thanks for having me on the show.
no worries. It's my pleasure, man. Um, Dude, so straight after this, you got to head down to the BMX track. Tell us
Yeah,
a bit about that. You're a young fella. He's a bit of a gun by the looks of it. I'm not right across what he's been up to, but
yeah,
yeah, seems like he's pretty good.
yeah. He's not bad. He does okay. It's sometimes it's a little bit of struggle. Lately, we've been struggling. Hard part is being 13 and hasn't hit puberty yet. So a lot of those kids, when they hit that, everything develops and muscle and strength, and he's behind the eight ball. But I mean, he does love it. Um, has a coach and the whole deal. So I mean, he's fully committed into it, and we've started to help at the local BMX track here a lot more. Um, so just it takes up a lot of time, but at the same time, you get to spend time with your the family and the kids, and hopefully it turns into maybe Triumph can sell a kid a dirt bike one day, or you never know.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. I see it on your. I always have a bit of a freshen up on people's Instagrams when when they're coming on the show,
Yeah,
just in case there's something I don't know about you. And yeah, I've seen that there's a few photos there where he's got he's wearing the national colours there, man. So yeah, tell us a bit
yeah.
about that. That must have been cool.
Uh, he he qualified for Worlds this year, which was good. Um, Struggled. It's when you're racing against everybody from one, I don't know, 3 to 10 kids from another country, and then plus the U.S. gets to double up on that number because it was in the United States this year, so you're still racing the same kids you normally race, and um, it it was a great experience for sure. He did well in cruise. Well, say well. I mean, he made it in out of rounds. He didn't get motoed, and then in class he got motoed. Kind of a bit of a bummer. Thought he would have made it to at least ace or quarters, but it, the when it's no different than what I do for work every single day. There's those kids that show up and can mentally block out everything they need to do and just go and twist the throttle on my side and pedal the bicycle on the other. So, but it was a good experience for him. A lot of people said, Olympic champions and people that have done really well, throughout their older and their career said, we got motoed our first year ever making it. And look where we are now. So like, he's just got to stick with it. So,
Yeah. So that means basically that means he didn't make it out of the heats. Is that sort of what
yeah.
that
So
means?
they
Yeah.
do. Yeah. They have 3 rounds. UCI rules are a little bit different. They do 3 rounds, and you basically got to finish 1 through 4 in each one of those rounds. And then that'll give you, a total of 12. So you want to be 12 points or lower. And then you just keep, then once you get into like 16ths, ace, quarters, all that, it's just 4, 4, 4. Because gate pick, for the first 3 rounds, they assign you a gate. But then after that, how well your points are depends on how you line up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's similar to moto.
Yeah.
If you're,
It's interesting.
number one, you get to go. You get pick one. If you're qualified 30th, you're pick 30th. So
Yeah. And is it because you're not dealing with, I guess ruts and things like that. What's the with gate pick? Is it the sort of always the outside, always the inside, or
um, Parker would pick 8 every time. Gate 8 every time.
yeah, which
He
is the
likes the
outside?
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the outside, and he loves gate 8. And you put him
Yeah.
in 8, it's usually really good. And why he didn't do that in the cruiser one, I'm not quite sure. We had a game plan. The hard part is give you a little back story on it. Like when they do the group of the U.S., it doesn't matter any country, they go into tents. The parents are not allowed in there, so it's coaches only. So they're off. I mean, it doesn't matter if your kids. Well, the youngest is 8. So if you're 8 years old, you're in there with a coach, and that's it. You can communicate with them, and they can come out. But when they're in there and they're getting ready to go into staging and up, they're on their own. You just sit in the stands and wait.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you can understand why they do it though, because they'd be just too many parents in there. It'd be crazy,
yeah.
in that team environment. I guess they sort of have to, but yeah, and like with everything, man. Like same with junior moto. Like there's parents you want around, and there's parents you don't want around as well. So
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
you would know only too well, man. Yeah. Cool,
So,
cool. Awesome,
yep.
man. This year, man, I'm interested to just know how you feel like from a fan, from an outsider. I think that Triumph's had a fantastic first year. Like for me, it's a big tick on compared to any first up manufacturer or first up team that we've seen in the past. I think it's been great. So I'm just interested if you guys sort of feel the same way or not. Yeah.
I do. Uh, I appreciate you've gotten a lot of compliments. I always try to do and be better. So like it's, like, and it's not necessarily about winning or being on the box or whatever. It's just trying to make sure that you're always more prepared for the next race when you find something, or if you learn something, to be more prepared for the next event. Not that, we don't all have the knowledge and everything that's gone into, each track's basically, we go to the same rounds all the time.
Yeah.
But we have zero data on this bike, and everybody tries to compare it to one to the other and whatnot, and it's not. It's different. So just learning what we've learned, the first 6 rounds. Obviously, we've had some ups and downs, unfortunately, and just try to put your best foot forward for the next one.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's a massive task, man, a massive undertaking, like
Yeah.
what you guys are up to. It's just it's a huge thing, it's very rarely happened in the sport, so it's
Yeah.
there's no real there's no instruction booklet for it, man, is there? It's
No,
just like
no, there's no
yeah.
instructions, that's for sure. And
Mm,
the guys in the UK are great. All the engineers over there, and the US based team that we deal with, plus all my guys, like it's a great group of people. And, it just, we all work well together.
cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
I want to dig into a little bit about your past, man, a bit about your life. Dude,
Yeah.
how did you first get into motorcycles, man? So the question I always ask is, when did the bug bite, man? When did you fall in love
Uh,
with dirt
when I
bikes?
was a little kid, and my neighbors had them. I grew up working on a farm, and the farmer kids had them and whatnot, and they had a track in the back and whatnot, and just kind of went from there. My uncle got me one when I was a kid, and it just kept kind of just going, and finally I got to the point in my life that I knew, you know, yeah, I rode, had fun. I was never going to make it. So I was like, what's the next best thing? So apparently my kids want to come join. Uh, what the next best thing is, and being a mechanic. Just the first, I want to say it was an 87 125. My neighbor gave it to me. It was just sitting in his barn, and he said, you can have it, but it's in pieces. And so it just kind of started from there. So I built it, did it, ran, rode it forever. Um, and that's kind of what started the mechanical side of things.
Yep.
Just always did my own stuff. Didn't really outsource it much. and I just I was probably 25, maybe roughly right around there. Started helping out a few guys at the nationals back in the day. A buddy of mine that lived in Long Island, Charles Ellis, started helping him, and then Levi Reed, and then Charles at the time was living at Millsap's training facility, and he called and said, "Hey, Colleen is looking for a guy to help, work in the shop." And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "You can live with me in the cabin and everything." And I'm like, "I don't know." And Colleen ended up calling me, and I had known Davey for a little bit prior to that. And he's like, "Dude, it'll be fun." And so I was like, "All right, I'll come down." And so I left my job in New York and moved down there, and it's just kept evolving from that.
Yeah. So was wrenching for Davey, was that sort of your first? Was that sort of your big break into
Um,
into Supercross, or?
no, so I worked for a bunch of amateur kids at MTF throughout that time. I had Austin Stroop, Kyle Cunningham, and then Trevor Doney and Paul Carpenter. I don't know if you remember Paul or
Yep.
not.
Yep.
Okay, so he grew up 45 minutes from me back in New York, and we rode together, and me, him, and Canary. And Paul started that Atomic racing team. So that's how I got out of doing the amateur stuff and then moved to the pros. And then when I worked with him and Jack for, excuse me, for a year, and then Kyle Cunningham went to go work or ride for Motorsport Kawasaki, and he's like, "Hey, I got an offer. I want you to come with me, whatnot." Meantime, my girlfriend at the time, was living in California, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that. Make life easier for us." And that's kind of how it started. And that's when I started working for Bobby. Was then 2008, and
Yeah.
then so kind of worked for Cunningham for that year, and then the following year we signed Baggett and 10, and I ended up being Baggett's guy. So that was the first. I was Baggett's mechanic when he won Dallas, and had some great rides, which obviously helped him get, not me, but his riding himself, get to pro circuit, and went with Mitch and won a championship. And then I was Davalos's mechanic in 11 and 12. And a buddy of mine, Scott Bennett, works at Showa. I don't know if you've heard of him or not.
No, I
He's
haven't
been
heard of
there
him.
for
No.
years. And he offered me, he's like, "Hey, we need a suspension guy." And I'm like, "Oh, man, maybe, I don't know." And I hemmed and hawed. And then Bobby and Dave Gallen were like, "We're going to sign Davey." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it." And they're like, "Come on, we need you to, whatever." And I'm like, "I don't know." And we kind of went back and forth. And Davey's a lot of work. Love him to death, but he's a lot of work. And I went home and talked to my wife about it. And she's like, I'm like, "This could go really, really good, or this could go really, really bad." And not from the, not from his riding and his ability and doing what it needs to do, but I'm like, either we're going to kill it and it's going to be well, and Davey's going to do well, and but I'm like, I'm just letting you know, and the bad side of things, I'm probably going to be gone a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, shit, it was probably the funnest year I've ever had, honestly. Like, just, I was at the track every day, home late, back to work early, and we had a blast. And obviously, it showed on the track with him, and how well he did that year.
Yeah.
And then in 14, Davey got hurt. Then I was Ivan Tedesco's guy for the first 6 rounds. Davey was coming back, and he was going to ride, wasn't going to ride, and then that kind of all shuffled around. And then Davey tried getting me to go to Cowie. That lasted about a whole 2 days, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do it." And so we ended up, with that time, we were Husqvarna. That's when we switched over to Huskies.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
so 15, 16, all the way till 22, I was the crew chief there, and whatnot, and team manager towards the end of that time, and we were very successful there, and had a great group of guys, and great riders, and won championships and races and podiums, and I mean it was it was great.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't remember you
Yeah.
being with Baggett. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's cool to know. Yeah, Davey's sort of the one that when I first probably remember your name. The
Yeah.
the young mechanics don't their name doesn't get out there too often unless they get a
Yeah.
get a championship or something like that. It's usually when you
Right.
or when you ride in the mix, that's when they'll start talking about you guys. So
Yeah.
do you miss just being a mechanic sometimes? Just miss
Yes.
that role? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still do it here, to be honest with you. Just to, it's kind of like I wouldn't say a reset, but for me, it's just, well, there's a lot of reasons behind it, but I enjoy doing it. I like running the pit board. I don't mind washing a bike or, doing all that. It kind of relaxes me a little bit. It's kind of like when I'm working on, a piece or on the lathe or whatever. It's something to take my mind off of not work, but the other side of work, I guess, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, and
It's a bit of therapy, man.
yeah, yeah. So, I still to this day, like yesterday, I was, with Jalik a little bit yesterday, trying to, just he was up riding, and with our schedule, it's hard. So, and I always try to give the mechanics, a day off, because they don't, reality could work 7 days a week. It's just not good for anybody.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not good for anybody, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah, cool. It's a cool story, man. I always say on this show, man, I love the stories of people. That's what I like about the show,
yeah.
and to you come from your uncle giving you an old bike and that sort of thing. And did you do any sort of end up doing any formal mechanical stuff, learnings like MMI or anything like that? No, you
Nothing.
just learn it and went from there. Yeah, cool, real old
Yeah.
school style. Yeah,
Old
that's
school, just, grew up working on a farm, my neighbor next door
yeah,
back home in New York, and it was always hands on.
yeah,
We did everything. We always worked on everything. And that's just, I remember changing motors in cars when I was a kid,
yeah.
just,
Just what you
to
did.
save money. Yeah. Like we
Yeah,
didn't, and even today, to this day, I don't take my truck or my wife's car or
yeah,
anything anywhere. I just do it myself. Yeah. It's time consuming, but
yeah,
when you have the ability to do it,
yeah.
I just can't see spending the money to have somebody else do it when I can do it.
Same here, man. I do it all myself, and sometimes I don't want to.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
my trucks, so I've got a construction business, very small construction business, but
yeah,
so my truck or my ute, as we call them, man, it is the shop. It's the rolling shop, like so when
yeah,
it's not going, the shop's closed. So I had a couple of things I had to replace in recent times there, and yeah, it's get home late from work because I'm always home late from work, and put the
hmm,
lights on in the shed and work the rest of the night to get the truck ready for the next morning,
right,
but
yeah,
man, it saves me a lot of money doing it myself. So yeah,
yeah,
and honestly, I don't mind it. I don't mind a little bit of getting into a little bit of grease. I prefer working on bikes,
yep,
but yeah, I'll still get a bit of get a bit of that black diesel mess on me sometimes when I need to, man. So
yeah,
yeah, cool, man. Cool.
yeah.
Um, I know. I had Jalik on the show, man. Geez,
Okay,
well back. He was a pretty early guest in the show,
uh
which was really good of him, and he spoke really highly of you, man. Really highly of
huh.
you, and
Well,
yeah, you seem to have
eh,
a really good relationship with your riders, especially the long term riders, man, like your
yeah,
kids,
no, I try to. Um, Sometimes it works out, sometimes it does. It doesn't. Jalik he's had a unique situation in his life, and so just always trying to, even when I wasn't around, be there, even still to this day. I mean, a million of the riders, I wouldn't say a million of them, but anybody that I've ever worked for, I still talk to them. We still, you know, communications and whatnot, and it's cool. Just I don't know why. I don't know why they call me. I can't answer the question, but I'm very thankful for that. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
somewhere in life, I've done something right.
So you're still pretty close with Davey
Yeah,
and guys from that far back. Yeah, yeah. Which
yeah,
is cool, man.
yeah.
And it speaks to your, people don't still call you for no reason, man. So it speaks to your good nature, obviously. If people
Yeah.
are doing that, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got to ask, do you have a favorite, man? Like, they are burning buildings, so like
Um,
Davey and Jalik and Zach and like, who are you rescuing, man? Who's your favorite?
Man, I don't. That one's hard.
Yeah, I
Um,
bet it is. Yeah,
to be honest with you, I would, and this is going to sound crazy, but I would say all of them that I've ever worked for, only because they're all unique in their different way. So,
yeah,
like, it's all in how you get a relationship with them and how you can talk to them and relate to things and whatnot. And, each one has their own, they're all have their different personalities. That's for sure.
yeah,
Um, Davey and I go so far back, like that. I mean, he still comes over to the semi now, you know, every morning, and maybe not every morning, but majority of it, or we'll run into each other. And, it's still a high five and a hug, and so, and you know, at the end of the day, him and his mom, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, from starting out at MTF and then moving through. And then obviously Davey, in 13, that's really what kind of, I would say, jump started this whole
mm,
process of everything else. So, um, even though he's a pain in the ass, but still, we get along. We still get along great. Probably don't talk to each other as much as we should, according to him. But still, he, you know, for I wouldn't necessarily say is my, favorite, because I would say that everybody, like I like everybody that I've ever worked with. Just him and his mom in the beginning, obviously got,
yeah,
I would say helped me get to where I am today. So
yeah,
definitely thankful for that.
yeah. Cool. Do you have a highlight your favorite moment from I guess
Phew.
maybe from your previous team, so from that whole
Man,
yeah.
there's a bunch, honestly. Anaheim 113 obviously was, I can replay that whole race like
Yeah,
the back of my hand, the day, the whole everything, how that went. San Diego 13, another one, led, whole shot to checkers. Um, Salt Lake City 13, obviously he had to beat Villapoto in order to make it to go to Vegas, but he started 10th, and by the time second lap, he was already in third, and those guys were going so fast. It was crazy. Him, Dunge, and Villa were going like they were on a whole nother level. I want to say they lapped up to eighth or seventh that night. Like it was crazy. Um, I'd say 16. With uh, 16, Jason won the first round at Anaheim. I believe it was 16, if I remember
yeah.
correctly, on the
Was the
450.
very first year as Husqvarna, wasn't it, where he won the?
Second year, because
Oh, it was the second year, was it? Yeah,
yeah, it was the second year because it was the new gen bike, and obviously that was a surreal moment that you're like, man, what the hell's going on? And then Zach to win in 16 at Budds Creek, to the track that basically started his professional career, but then to be able to beat that, that the mindset of, this is kind of where my career went off path.
Mm.
And then to be able to come back and be able to win it, win an overall there, win a moto, I think he went 5-1 or 4-1, if I remember right, something like that. And then for the next year, him to win the Supercross championship and then to win the actual championship in 2017 at Budds Creek. There's just those certain things. And then Jason obviously winning the championship in 2018. And then Zach again in 2018, and then 2020 with Zach.
Mm.
I mean, there was, this one just sticks out. Just, in 20 at where were we? WW, because he went 1-1 there. He's like, second moto, he's like, Eli's going to come. He goes, but I'm going to check up. I'm going to check up, and I'm just going to, I'm going to wait for him to catch me. He goes, I'm not getting beat today. I'm not getting beat. And he's like, I'll wait and I'll check up and just, wait for him to catch me. He goes, I'm going to drop the hammer. And for 2 laps, they were going so fast. And then Eli kind of just was like, all right, I think, kind of, not that Eli got tired, but he just was like, I'm not catching him, and shit. Man, there's a bunch of amateur kids that did well for us. Through those years, winning championships. Jalik, I mean, he was on a roll there for a little bit, winning championships as an amateur. And then we had Robertson and Jordan Bailey, Evan, Ferry. I mean, we've had a long, we were successful, there. And the riders obviously did their job at the end of the day. So,
yeah.
But those, are some, moments of greatness that stick out, in my mind.
Yeah. You got to feel yourself still cheering for some of the guys that don't ride for you now. Like, when you've had good relationships, like you must have been stoked for RJ and that sort of thing. Like, yeah.
He was an emotional wreck at Salt Lake. Holy crap. Poor guy. I felt bad for him. And that was actually really the second time, because we had the East-West shootout, but I only saw him briefly, and then first practice, and we were talking, hanging out, and then like the whole time, and it's funny because he would come over and we'd just shoot the shit, and like before the main, he just looked like a, I don't mean it bad, but like a ghost, like you see that look on someone's face.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just remember telling him, like, Rick, it's irrelevant, but I'm not your guy anymore. I'm just going to give you some friendly advice. Just remember you're at Eldon's. Just get back to your Amos every time. You're at Eldon's, Amos, Eldon's. Like, and I know it's hard to think that because you're not in that situation. But he held it together, and I was stoked for him. So it's I wish he was at the races now, but he's not.
Yeah. That's a real real bummer, man. Like, that was just, damn rock. Like, just
I had no idea
the
till
sport's
Saturday.
Just cruel. Yeah.
Yeah, like Saturday morning, they're like, RJ's out or something, or maybe it was Friday. I'm like, what? What do you mean he's out? It was just on riding press day. So I text him and I'm like, Rick. And he goes, don't even get me started, Scuba. And I'm like, no, like, why are you out? Like, what's going on? And he's like, and so he called me and told me. I'm like, what? Like, how does this even happen? He goes, I was just on a slow lap. I'm like, what the hell? Crazy.
It is, man. Yeah, that was the press day from hell, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah,
took out Marchbanks, nearly took out like McElrath. Like, it was just a disaster, man. Absolute disaster. Yeah,
it was crazy because I was standing right there where that Marchbanks thing happened.
Yeah.
Just to the side behind the mechanics area there, and I'm like, what is going on? Why? Why do they keep? Where was the flagger?
Yeah.
And then 2, what is, like, how does this keep possibly happening? I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, you can even go back to, Deegan this weekend. I think it was the last lap or whatever, when that lapper crash, the guy crashes and then he hits him or whatever. It's like, how? Like, where are the flaggers? Like,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, or where are the flaggers that are trained and
yeah,
experienced and know exactly what they're doing? That's the
yeah,
that's
they need
the
to
that's the
they
key,
need
isn't
to
it? Yeah.
do what Supercross is doing. They have like however many guys it is, a certain group that goes to every round, and then they have a few fill-ins. And the guys that are the ones that go every week, they're at the specific jumps where, something could happen, I guess. If that makes sense? Like, if it's a triple,
Yeah.
like they're kind of before that triple to make sure that everybody knows the flag's there and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No, it's such an important thing, man. Yeah, it's definitely got to get it right. You think about the money involved. Think about the money that's been put into the Hayden Deegan's season, and that
yeah.
could have cost him the season. Could have cost him a
Oh
title.
yeah.
The money
Yep.
it cost him in the title, the whole thing. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot more money at stake than what it would cost to have a better flagger or an extra flagger. That's for sure,
Yeah.
man. So yeah, I think the whole sport's on board with that. They just got to do something about it. Yeah, and it comes down to more and more people, better people, which is not better people is not always easy in any business, as I'm sure you know. Like
No.
finding good people is the
No.
hardest thing in any business. That's the hardest
Yeah.
thing, but it needs to be done, man. Yeah.
No.
What
For
about
sure.
do you have like a biggest disappointment, man? A biggest, what could have been or disappointment or anything like that?
Not really that sticks out in my mind, honestly. Maybe it still kind of goes back to Davey. If he didn't blow his knee out before Daytona, I think it would have went to Salt Lake.
Mm,
Obviously, that was a bummer situation. And then Zach could have probably been won another title in 18 and outdoors if he didn't dislocate his shoulder. Um, other than Other than that, I think RJ was up, yeah, in 2020. RJ was, up there, close to the title anyways, and then he ended up getting hurt, hit a kicker off the table at WW, and then that put him out the rest of the year. I wouldn't say they're disappointments, just sticking, you know what I'm saying? Just a couple of
yeah,
those, they stick in your head, but
yeah,
I wouldn't, I wouldn't say any of it's a disappointment, just to be in that situation or be close to that situation to possibly win a championship and whatnot. And it's just still a good feeling to know that the team was there to we were close, right? So
yeah.
other nothing out of the ordinary, I guess.
It's a good attitude, man. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I like it's a good attitude. It was a blessing, I guess, to be that close
yeah,
rather than thinking about what could have been. So yeah, I like
yeah.
that, man. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah. Righto, folks. Time for an ad read. Guts Racing, Greg's Ultra Trick seats. If you need anything to do with the seat, or you even want a cool T-shirt like this one, that is the place to go. Gutsracing.com is the website. That's a really easy one to remember. Gutsracing.com. Obviously, they do seat covers, but that's not all. They also do complete seats, custom seats where you can get a seat bump. The seat bump is certainly making a comeback. We're seeing more and more of those again. You can get a wide wing seat, the RJ wide wing seat. We had the great man himself on just recently telling us about that. You can get tall seats if you're a big, lanky sort of a fella. You can get a huge range of colors. The website's amazing. Even my old ass can navigate the website. You go on there, you can choose the colors for the side, for the top, for the ribs. You can choose to add ballistic material to the side if you're a knee brace guy who's squeezing the life out of your seat and wearing the sides out quickly. You can add that. You can get a replacement foam. You can get the ultralight seat foam. You can even get a Velcro fitment seat if you don't want to tackle the installation with a staple gun. Speaking of the installation, when you get your seat, it comes with a QR code that you scan, and it will take you to a video where you will probably see Andy Gregg himself showing you how to install that seat cover. How's that for service? You don't get that sort of thing too often. As privateer hero Scott Meshy says, they're a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. So get around them. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. And I'm also really pumped to announce. So we had a competition, a giveaway for a Guts seat cover, and the rules for it was that you had to be a veteran who rides or whose kids ride. And so the winner of that is a gentleman. I'm not going to give his full name and that sort of thing, but a gentleman by the name of Tim. He is from the Ohio area. I don't know if he's exactly, he could be just over the border, but his local track where he does a bit of moto is in Ohio. And he started riding in the late 70s, I think, from memory. I think he said on an MR50, which is pretty cool. And nowadays he's riding he's a policeman riding a whatever brand of motorcycle, police motorcycles they have in Ohio. So they're not always Harleys like they used to be. Hey, like they used to be. They could be BMWs or whatever they are. And so he obviously as a young fella went into the military and did his service, and then since then he got into law enforcement. So certainly a very, very worthy bloke. He's also done some pretty cool volunteer work around this whole space as well. So he's a very deserving guy. I've let him know, and he's pumped. So he'll. And I'm pumped. I can't wait to see what he chooses. The picture of it on his bike, and just pretty cool for me. It's always good to be able to hook someone else up with something cool like that. And just big thanks to Andy Gregg for supporting that. Certainly is a good cause, and just a thank you again to Peter from Veteran MX, who came on the show, and from my friends Cody and Felipe, who came on another show, where both those shows where we talked about veterans and motocross, and the link there and all that sort of thing. So it's been good fun. All right, I'll stop talking about Guts Racing, and let's get on back to Scuba Steve and see what else he's got to say. Dude, what other things are you into? Like, what other skills do you have and things that you do? I've seen a few. I see you do a bit of fishing. I noticed that on your Instagram. So you're into that a bit.
Yep. Into fishing. Haven't done much lately. Obviously with work and everything else, and the kids traveling and whatnot. I am going to New York early before Unadilla, so. There's a couple of reasons. One, the kids are going to race up there. So my wife's going to take the boat and the truck, and she's going to go and drop the boat off at my best friend Dave's house. And then they'll go race around, and then I'll fly up and hang out for the week and fish and whatnot. And just little I try to do that to decompress a little bit. The hard part here, but the closest lake that I have that's somewhat decent is about an hour and 20 minutes. I know it doesn't seem like it's a far drive. The problem is I got to go through Atlanta, and driving through Atlanta is not my favorite thing to do.
Nah, man, I'm on your page there, man. Yeah, like driving through city, like I routinely drive about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half sometimes, but it's on like a country road, man, that is low traffic, low stress. Like, I don't see a traffic light until the last 10 minutes, so it's like, depending on what particular job I'm going to. So, and that's cool, man. At one stage I lived on for a long time, I lived on the far outskirts of Melbourne, and I would
Okay.
drive into Melbourne every day to do jobs, and man, like, oh, that sucked. Like, I'd rather do an hour and a half in the country and the country roads, man, than do like 45 minutes in the city any day. Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm with you, because there's probably the best lake we have around here is Gunnersville. It's about 2.5 hours away. Um, and that's like, I'm back roads the whole way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see anything, and it's 165 miles from here, but just the small little towns and whatnot you got to go through.
Yeah.
Here in about month or so, 5 weeks, probably in that break when we're right after Ironman, it gets really good there. The basket and the grass, and you're punching mats, and you know, just you get a 4 pound bass, but it feels like 8 pounds because you got so much grass you're trying to get up
Yeah, yeah.
out of there, and then the frog bite turns on shortly thereafter that, and that's the same thing. So it's there's this is like, if you're into bass fishing, like if you live in, maybe not here, but in this general southeast, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina area, like, I mean, it is like, you I mean, probably 8 of the best lakes in the country are within 3.5 hours of my house.
Yeah, it all
So
seems to
it's,
be about the bass fishing over there. Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's into it, that's for sure. But I still, you can't beat New York smallmouth at the end of the day for me. A lot of people would probably agree with that if they're in the fishing, because there's just giants there.
Yeah.
So go on Lake Ontario and up through the St. Lawrence, and my biggest smallmouth I caught was almost 6.5 pounds, which that's like, for a smallmouth, that's the state record. I want to say is 7.25 or
Okay.
something.
Yeah. And like,
So
how
it's
long is that? We always talk in like centimeters. How long a fish is in centimeters rather than weight. But
I want to say it was about 22 inches, so whatever that is in centimeters. But the smallmouth, they look like footballs. They're so big and fat. Like, if you were to take a football and look at a smallmouth, like, that's
yeah,
just kind of how their body shape
the
is.
shape. Yeah.
And I mean, he was like a massive football.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And
I
you
got to
you you do bass fishing off lures, yeah? You're using lures.
correct. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We lures, artificial baits. I like catching smallmouth on a jig. You can catch them a largemouth on them, but that's, for me, is my go-to. Bob Canary, I mean, he's a drop shot guy. He'll drop shot them. I just a drop shot, you just sit there and hold it, and you just kind of bounce it and move it. And a jig, you got to drag it. So you know, at least I'm doing something, or I feel I'm doing something. Because when you're just standing there with a rod in your hand waiting for it to bite, I feel if I just drag something across the rocks or whatever, I could get bit quite faster. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
everybody has their preference.
Yeah, so they're good. They're good. Yeah, good sport fishing sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then they
Cool.
don't get much pressure because of the um, from the what do you want to call it? The lake's freezing over and stuff. So, like, they're only, once the lake's unfreeze, or when they do freeze, a lot of people don't fish in the winter, so it helps relieve a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
that as well.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Cool.
I don't know if you can see that or not.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like, yes, I can see that, man. Yeah, yeah. Cool. And
So,
are they good eating, or are you just
I don't
or
eat them
you just for sport? Yeah.
just for sport. One of my other best friends, Fletcher Shyrock, he's a professional fisherman as well. He fishes
Mm.
MLF, and him and his brother. His brother does the bass master side of things, and so we we try to go fish with but our schedules are so crazy. But like, he has to fish up in the St. Lawrence roughly around the same time I'm there for Unadilla. So he's like, if I don't make it to the championship or past it, I'm coming to the race to watch. I'm like, yeah, fine, that's fine. Let me know. And he only lives 2 hours from me, and I hardly, just our schedules are so crazy. It's hard to see one another. But he would agree that smallmouth is probably the funnest to catch compared to a largemouth.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like I've always liked a little bit of fishing. I don't do heaps, and I'm no expert, and I'm no great fisherman. That's for sure. I'm
Yeah.
okay, but some of my mates are really, really, really keen into it. And but the fishing that happens here is, it's totally different fish, different ways of going about it, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So cod is the big thing around where I live,
Oh yeah.
and
I'll eat that.
They get massive, and it's good eating, and it's a very I've been camping with a mate. He caught a cod that was it was about a meter, huge thing, and he's a big, strong guy, and like he was struggling to pick this thing up. They get really fat, really big, and he was chasing that just like with bait for like a couple of days. And he reckons it was the same one that he'd been after at the same spot for years. And he finally got it, and I think he caught that on cheese. Cheese is the go nowadays for
Okay.
God, they love cheese. So it's a very very simple thing, but they're sneaky buggers, and so
we don't. It's all artificial stuff. Like you do have a lot of people that'll use worms or live bait or whatever. I try to do it however tournaments do it. I guess every a while ago, another buddy of mine in California, which it's illegal to do, but caught a bunch of sunfish or sunfish. I think that's what maybe you guys call them. They're just like small little fish, whatever, bluegill, and we caught I don't even know how many of them. Just put them in the boat, using live bait to get them in the boat. Then we would nose hook them and then cast them back out. And then we had 33 pounds for our best 5 largemouth bass, which was like, it's crazy. And we would just cast them out into 30, 40 feet of water, and they would come up and just boop, and you'd feel the line going, and then you'd set the hook. And because they had the fish wedged in, and then you had the hook with the fish, like it was fun. Illegal, but fun.
Yeah, I think it's probably something similar to we just call it blue bait, which is what you use in salt water, you can use in salt water here. Yeah. And for whiting and flathead and the sort of saltwater stuff that we have here. Cool, man. Cool. Hey, what when you're watching, especially when you're watching young riders, what makes you a fan? What sort of is there a sort of trait that stands out to you on or off the bike where you just think,
being humble.
Nice.
Being humble. Because this sport's a roller coaster at the end of the day. There's a lot of ups and downs. So the more humble you can be, the better off you'll be at the sport, but as a person, later on in life.
Nice, man. I love how quickly you answered that, because that's obviously something that's definitely in your mind when you're watching when you're watching what's going on. But being humble is certainly something that that I value in an athlete. Like I love that. It's very much something that Australians, if any sports in Australia, if one of the top guys is very humble, they're a superstar. They're a national favorite, very much Aussies don't love it when their athletes are cocky, it's a very much the thing, they love it when it's humble. The cocky guys, they can be, you can get a laugh out of them, and it's a little bit entertaining, but that absolute respect comes from, when they're super humble. Awesome. Dude, what sort of music are you into? Do you get into what are you into?
I listen to country, a lot of country. Probably Jason Aldean is probably my favorite go-to, or Luke Combs or Luke Bryant. I don't know, just Hank Williams Jr. with the older stuff. Rock, heavy metal, Korn, by far my favorite. Like I tell everybody, greatest band in the world. When the songs come on, they all laugh and chuckle. And anybody that knows me, when it does, anybody that's ever worked with me, if they've heard that story before, every time it comes on the radio, greatest band in the world, and they all laugh. So
they know you're a big Korn guy.
yeah,
Cool, man.
yeah.
Cool. Have you seen them
And then,
live? I'm sure you have seen them live. Yeah.
no, I have
Oh, you
not
haven't?
actually.
Yeah.
No, was supposed to go to a couple concerts back early 20s and just didn't pan out. I did see Limp Bizkit live, which was like, that was kind of when they were just starting to kind of get up in their, their peak of things. And shit, they were crazy. And Seven Dust was there as well, and it was like, holy, like it was just, the mosh pits were just booming. And
Where was that?
I'm not a big guy.
Where was the Bizkit concert?
It was in New York, and it was in Rochester, and I want to say it was the Armory Circle, if I remember correctly. It didn't hold, but maybe 6,000 people, and I swear it had 20,000 in there, and they were all down in the thing moshing, and it was like, so it was fun.
Sounds like a good time. Not something I'd want to do nowadays, but it sounds like a good time when you were young. When you're young,
yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah. I love it, man. What about a fun question I like to ask? If you could time travel back to a concert and see someone live, as far back as you want, see someone live, what would you go to?
Korn.
You go to a Korn, like an early
Korn, like early 90s Korn.
Yeah. Whereabouts, man? Like, is there a certain stadium or certain bar or anything?
No certain stadium or anything. Just see, like, one thing. Well, to the regret thing, maybe not so much the riding portion of it, but not going to the concert when I had the opportunity twice to go see Korn in the early days, but live and learn, I guess.
Yeah, man.
But yes, for sure, Korn.
Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, I like it. Yeah, cool to see bands when you were like I my answer changes all the time, and it's a hard one. I can't remember. Someone asked me that question, and that's why I sort of picked it up for the show. But all my answers though are some of my favorite bands, like before they were famous, just before they were famous. That's when I want to see them. I want to see them just in a grubby bar, just before they were famous.
Yeah,
and they're demoing the songs that made them big, and that's what really, I think would be just unbelievably cool. So yeah, man, cool. I love it, man. I love it, dude. What's something that people don't know about you?
I don't know, man. I don't know, honestly.
You don't know?
I don't know. A lot of people think I'm from California, and I'm not. I'm from upstate New York, a little podunk town in the middle of nowhere. Maybe because I was in California for 15 years, maybe somewhere around there. Doesn't matter.
How big's the
Me
town
personally,
where you grew up?
too long. My graduating class was 112 people, I think, right around there. So it's not, maybe, I don't want to say there's 10,000 people or something like that, maybe total when I was a kid. It is for U.S. history. It is the birthplace of Memorial Day, the town that I'm from.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not as bad of a person as people think I am. They always say I got my wife's nieces and nephews all call me Uncle Grumpy because they just have that look on my face sometimes. And usually it's because work's going 10,000 miles an hour nonstop.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think you get to know me. For the most part, I'm not that bad.
It's funny, man. I got some friends and some family members, man, that always look grumpy. And yeah, they are some of the biggest hearted, nicest people I know. Once you know, and you just got to get past that grumpy look on their face sometimes. Like my brother-in-law's nickname's Angry, and he would do anything for you. He's one of the best people I know. So yeah, it's it's a funny thing, man. Yeah, cool, dude. Thank you very much for your time. There's a couple of things I do to end the show, just a couple of fun things, man. The first one is I always ask the US guests, which is most of my guests, to give us your best Aussie accent.
Jeez, I really need Dave Feeney to help me catch up on this, to be honest with you.
Give us your best Dave impersonation there. What's he say?
Well, really what I need is an old 15-gallon gas can and put a tire on it, because when Dave was trying to change mooses one day, he literally was standing on the tire on the trash can at work trying to get the tire off to get the moose out. But man, I don't know. G'day, mate. I don't know. That's about the best I got.
That's about the best you got.
And my accent isn't as I'm not very Aussie. Sorry.
No, that's okay, man. It's just a bit of fun because sometimes it surprises you, and there's a lot of Aussies over there in roles and that sort of thing, and sometimes people are pretty good at taking off their Aussie mates that are over there in the industry and all that sort of thing. So it's just a bit of a fun thing that I do in the show, man. And dude, the last thing I do in the show is you said you like a bit of country music, man. The outro to the show, I sing a little bit of Kenny Rogers, man. And and I'm not that good at it. I just do it for fun. But I always say to people, if you know the words to the gambler, then you're very welcome to help out. So I'll get into a bit of that for the outro for the show, man.
All right.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet. And his face lost all expression. Said, if you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting. When the dealing's done.
It's about all I got.
Scuba Steve, thanks. That's good, man. That's a lot of people don't even give it a shot. So, and then some people get right into it, which is just a bit of fun, man. There's a backstory to why I started doing that, and I just sort of ended up doing it every show because it's a bit of a laugh, man, and I don't take myself too seriously. So, dude, Scuba Steve, thank you very much for your time today. Good luck at the BMX. Welcome. Good luck at the BMX track, man, and good luck with your young blokes racing. That seems really cool, man. Hopefully he sprouts soon and grows some teenage muscles and gets back up into where he wants to be in the sport. And best of luck to everything going on at Triumph, man. Like I said, I think it's been great, man, and I'm certainly a fan of the riders and everyone involved in that program, man. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time. And this was fun.
No worries. Thank you, man. I always aim for it to be fun. That's for sure. So thank you very much for your time. Cheers, man.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, man. Bye.
You're welcome.